I damn near just got, was it a minute late? Okay, fine. I'm 2 minutes late to a watch party on a Friday. You got to give me a break. It's Friday. Things are happening. I literally just saw more things that are being said by Donald Trump that happened like 18 minutes ago, bro. What do you want me to do? It's Friday. We're supposed to have a little bit of fun. Everybody's all uptight and stuff. Loosen up. It's a party. I do have a little bit of disappointing news though as we go into a Friday and you guys gather your weekend beverages, get all that stuff together as we go through all the news today. I didn't make it out this morning to go find whatever last second energy drink I could find. So I think I'm breaking a streak here. So, but I still need a beverage. It's the morning. So just to make sure you guys don't think I got like some booze in here, I had to show you guys where it's coming from and where it's going. Damn, this damn mug holds a lot. Also, I want to bring back the resurgence of my favorite holiday mug. Maybe it's too early. Maybe the Christmas stuff should come out right after Thanksgiving, but we got like a week anyway until we go to that point. And the Grinch mug is just my favorite. So no hyper mindsets from me today from anything from energy drinks. Where my mother would be proud that I'm drinking juice this morning instead of bad for me energy drinks. I'm sure you guys probably are too. Fine. Okay, fine. We'll get started. I got many things happening. I want to start with something a little bit different. I wasn't sure if I should cover it, but I was like, why not, bro? I mean, we need to shake it up a little bit sometimes. Don't always go through the things that are depressing all the time. This is a little bit annoying and maddening, but at least things worked out in the end, which I think is a win overall for everyone. That is, except for one woman named Natalie Green. It didn't work out too well for Natalie. Let's watch.
These images show a then Republican congressional staffer lying face down in a New Jersey nature reserve, her hands zip-tied behind her back, her body lacerated with Trump and a profane word written across her stomach. Tonight, federal prosecutors allege 26-year-old Natalie Green did this to herself, part of an elaborate hoax meant to look like a politically motivated attack. According to the criminal complaint, at around 10:30 p.m. on July 23rd, an unnamed co-conspirator called 911, telling dispatch that she and Green had been walking the trail when three guys just attacked us, talking politics and stuff, calling Green a racist. Police say they found Green crying loudly and yelling, "He has a gun, he has a gun." Investigators later found duct tape and black zip ties inside Green's Maserati. They also allege Green paid an artist $500 to cut her body just hours before the hoax attack. The court documents noting the cuts made to Green's skin at her request followed the exact same pattern as the lacerations observed when she was lying on the ground. Green is now charged with conspiracy to convey false information and hoaxes and with making false statements. In a statement, her lawyer writing, under the law, she is presumed innocent. Today, the congressman she used to work for, Jeff Van Drew, said he hopes she's getting the care she needs.
I don't know any more than you all do, and we never would interfere with an investigation or a criminal process.
So as you see there, Jeff Van Drew, Republican congressman, I believe, former staffer, appears to be busted for harming herself, except harming herself and blaming three men running around in the woods. That is with an unnamed co-conspirator. It's a classic tale. We've seen it many times. I think maybe unless they left that out, I guess we give her a little bit of credit for not saying three black men ran up and attacked me, because that's usually the approach when it goes to people who are trying to do something and pull something off like this. We're seeing this. It's spreading around. People are noticing it. I'm just trying to figure out if we're going to continue to notice it and keep talking about it, because we're in this hyper partisan and very dangerous political rhetoric type of world right now. And this is something that I think fuels it further, but it's fake because they're losing that argument. ABC News also talked about it. Maybe they have a couple other details that NBC didn't.
What happened was prosecutors were called to a place in New Jersey, a state park in New Jersey, and they had reports of a female that was attacked, that was beaten up, and they say that they went into the car of this person. They found her with lacerations, with all kinds of marks on her, but they noticed something wasn't right. So they went into the car of Miss Green, allegedly, who allegedly had some duct tape, who allegedly had some zip ties in her car. Now they kept going forward a little bit on this, and they looked at sort of the records, the phone records of this co-conspirator, this female co-conspirator that you mentioned, and they said that this co-conspirator allegedly looked up where to buy zip ties, where to find some of these things. They have her on camera allegedly buying zip ties, and then on the same day that she was giving an interview to the FBI, prosecutors searched her phone, and they allegedly found messages with a body modification artist, and that modification artist allegedly told prosecutors that she went to she came and she had matching scars and cuts that prosecutors found her. Now, of course, her attorney says that she's innocent until proven guilty. And we just got a statement from Congressman Jeff Van Drew's office, who's the congressman that she allegedly worked for. And they say that, quote, "We are deeply saddened by yesterday's news. And while Natalie is no longer associated with the congressman's government office, our thoughts and prayers are with her. We hope she's getting the best care that she needs."
Seems the kind of care that she's going to need is mental health. I mean, this seems like a flip out, and that's the direction that she decided to go. And that's being lenient on her. And the only reason I'm being lenient in this direction is because, her scheme didn't really work out. And I feel like many times these types of schemes don't work out. We've seen a few of these others in the past. But I have another thought really fast here. They mentioned in both of these pieces from ABC and NBC, there was a unnamed co-conspirator who, by the way, in this one they said she looked up zip ties near me on her phone. I feel like I can find some zip ties without having to look it up on my phone. That's like drawing this straight line of incriminating yourself. I get it. People don't watch enough Forensic Files or any kinds of crime dramas where they go through all the basic ways that the dumbest criminals expose themselves with, like, cell phone tower stuff, looking something up when someone murders their wife, poisons her or something. They check his phone records and he says something. He looks up something like, does rat poison kill a 120-pound human being? Stupid shit like that. But they did that as well. My question, though, is how come the co-conspirator is unnamed? The co-conspirator was part of the crime. Why is she unnamed when Natalie Green is the one who she conspired with and did all this stuff? I'm not sure to what ends they were looking to get this done. Why is she unnamed? I mean, we're getting the bail amounts for Green. We're getting where she went and got herself cut up by some body modification artist. Third question for me: what's that? A body modification artist? Is that usually when you go in to get cut? And why this body modification artist decided to do it? I thought maybe they meant like a tattoo artist, but tattooers have tools. What did he cut her with? That's a lot of fucking cuts. There's a lot of questions that I have. I apologize. So maybe the Independent, or the article they wrote on this has a couple more details that answer the 7 more questions that I have. Here's what they said. Green was found near a nature reserve near Egg Harbor Township. This is in New Jersey, by the way, 10 miles from Atlantic City, with her hands and feet bound by these zip ties and her shirt pulled up over her head. So again, the co-conspirator, who's unnamed, did that too. In addition to the words Trump whore, which being written on her stomach, the phrase federal official is racist. They put in quotes, federal official 1 is racist, written on her back. And I think that means the person that she works for. Maybe it's Van Drew. I'm not sure what they're filling in for federal official number 1, but that was her connection to any kind of federal official there. It's weird. Here's the last piece of information from the Independent. Officers also later recovered a proposed pattern for the scars, which Green allegedly gave to that, body modification artist. The criminal complaint filed against Green claimed that she paid $500 for that procedure to take place. Investigators also found those zip ties similar to the ones used to bind her limbs inside her own damn car. Bro, watch a one drama. A search for her accomplice's phone also found an internet search, which I mentioned before, which read zip ties near me. I have a suggestion for unnamed co-conspirator lady. Try Home Depot, try any grocery store, Ace Hardware. There's sometimes inside grocery stores. Just try anything that has zip ties. They're kind of plentiful. You don't have to search up for some zip ties. Check the automotive section. Hit up AutoZone. I don't know, man. It's not that hard. But I'm glad they're that dumb and they have no idea what the hell they're doing. I do wish maybe they'll get to this when they go through all of the trials and everything. What was the motivation and what was the thought of what it is you could get out of this? Jeff Van Drew's office. We don't know exactly when she stopped working for him. Maybe it was right after this when she, got cut up and they said, take some time off, bro. Who knows? So that's that. Just a quick side story before we get to the normal stupid things that go on with this directly with this administration. So if you guys just showed up, we're going to the big serious stuff now. Not that wasn't that serious, but it was pretty weird. Let's move on to this next stuff. If you guys are enjoying it, like the stream. We got stuff happening. Stephanie 007, I'm happy to do it. Maybe it's the orange juice. By the way, there's certain things that you shouldn't drink when you have to talk for an hour straight with generally no breaks. Orange juice is kind of hard, man. It's it's all tart, so you need water. And the main thing you need when you're talking as much is not have your mouth dry up from like tart things. 'Cause you know what the worst sound is when someone's talking in a mic constantly is when they have to stop and swallow and smack their mouth. You guys have no idea how much my mindset as I'm talking, when I'm railing on something, when we do this stream, I did it right now. How much I try to avoid smacking into this microphone. It's got to be the worst sound ever. And anytime I hear any podcast or anybody on news or anything stop and go, I'm like, oh my God, I want to turn. So I try to avoid it, which is also why apparently you guys call me the mute dragon when I'm on John's show, because I mute myself to drink my water and maybe even have a couple of those moments where you don't want to hear. I just don't like the sound. Sorry. I think you guys can agree with me on that. But the orange juice is kicking my ass. I have to do it a lot more now. Okay, fine. Let's move on to this next story. You guys may have heard about it. And matter of fact, the press conference where Caroline Leavitt was talking about this happened kind of right after I finished my stream. And I'm very upset I didn't get to cover this yesterday. So let's go ahead and cover it now.
President Trump accused 6 Democratic lawmakers of seditious behavior punishable by death. Just to be clear, does the president want to execute members of Congress?
No. Let's be clear about what the president is responding to, because many in this room want to talk about the president's response, but not what brought the president to responding in this way. You have sitting members of the United States Congress who conspired together to orchestrate a video message to members of the United States military, to active duty service members, to members of the national security apparatus, encouraging them to defy the president's lawful orders. The sanctity of our military rests on the chain of command. And if that chain of command is broken, it can lead to people getting killed. It can lead to chaos. These 3 members of Congress, I will also add, knew exactly what they were doing. You look at Alyssa Slotkin. She's a former member of the CIA. Mark Kelly was a captain in the U.S. Navy. Maggie Goodlander was a naval officer. And notably, she is also the wife of Joe Biden's national security former advisor, Jake Sullivan. And so these members knew what they were doing. They were leading into their credentials as former members of our military, as veterans, as former members of the national security apparatus to signal to people serving under this commander-in-chief, Donald Trump, that you can defy him and you can betray your oath of office. That is a very, very dangerous message, and it perhaps is punishable by law. I'm not a lawyer. I'll leave that to the Department of Justice and the Department of War to decide.
Caroline Leavitt was out in full force to defend Donald Trump calling for the death, the execution, more specifically, of Democratic lawmakers that he's mad at because they told active duty military folks to not obey illegal orders. I mean, that's why Caroline Leavitt lied like 12 times during just that minute and a half to talk about how they told them to defy legal orders. All they've done is change up reality constantly over and over again. But the bad news for them is that, people are paying attention and they listen to what they're saying, and everyone also heard what was actually said. So when they start with their lie, like I've said weeks ago, today, Friday, now that they're lying about this, I think enough people have heads up and ears open to be like, wait, they just lied. So let me, in case you guys didn't know, let me give you the full groundwork for people who maybe haven't been following this. This is where it all started. After, I'm not going to rerun the video of the Democratic lawmakers, but in response to that, this is Trump's first response. He said, "This is really bad and dangerous to our country. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. Seditious behavior from traitors. Lock them up." President DJT. So that I guess was his like mild approach. Say it's seditious behavior and that they're traitors. So at that point, he was like, well, wait a second. That's not rabid and angry and bloodthirsty enough. So he followed it up afterwards by then just this straightforward message: seditious behavior, punishable by death, with all capitals, of course, because he's a toddler. And he really wanted to drive that point home. So, of course, it ignited a firestorm when the president of the United States decides to tell his rabid followers who followed him on January 6th to go and attack elected officials for doing what he didn't want them to do. And then they tried to, overturn that election and attack people, even chanting how they want to kill his vice president. It's weird. He knew all that, has been celebrating them, released those violent criminals from prison, and now he's telling them that we need someone to execute the folks that I don't like. So, as usual, Mike Johnson got intercepted by Manu Raju.
Speaker, how you doing? The president posted that Democrats who urge service members to not follow illegal orders should be punished. It should be seditious, conspiracy, and punishable by death. Give me a response to that.
Look, I know the DOJ and the Pentagon are looking into the legality of all that, but what I can address is what everybody knows. That was wildly inappropriate. It is very dangerous. You have leading members of Congress telling troops to disobey orders. I think that's unprecedented in American history. And as the father of a young man who is, at the Naval Academy, going to be joining the service, I know young soldiers, airmen, sailors, they don't need that kind of nonsense from people in Congress. It is very dangerous. At a very dangerous time. I'm going to let others define what it is, but it's wildly inappropriate.
Mike Johnson's little rat ass skedaddles when he's cornered with the question that he didn't answer the first time. What do you think about the president talking about how these folks should be punished with death? Instead, he goes into this weird long tirade about how all these service members don't need to hear it. And again, goes with the same lie. You'll hear it from every Republican that I cover as I do this, how they'll say that this was them talking about these folks not following legal orders. Well, the problem is the president of the United States is a criminal. He doesn't do legal things. He does illegal things. As a matter of fact, if they want some more details, we can keep giving it to him because he talks a lot. Mike Johnson wasn't done yet. Once he got cornered a little bit further by another group of reporters in that same, runway, he tried finding more excuses. Maybe they caught up with him when he ran his ass away.
Called leaders in Congress to do to encourage young troops to disobey orders. I mean, think of what the threat that is to our national security and what it means to our institutions. We have got to raise the bar in Congress. This is out of control and is wildly inappropriate. And for a senator like Mark Kelly or any member of Congress in the House or Senate to be engaged in that kind of talk is to me just so beyond the pale. I'm not going to say.
Mr. Speaker, can you comment on this?
Called leaders.
And his sorry ass ran away again. What a chump. So he even at that time he inserted young troops, young soldiers, these dumbasses. I did it yesterday when I first talked about how this whole thing broke down, and Representative Jason Crow, who was one of the folks featured in that video that they're so mad about, went on and talked to Martha McCollum, and she kept talking about these young troops, impressionable troops that don't know any better. You're going to poison their brains with talking about how they shouldn't follow illegal orders. And of course, she didn't point out the illegal orders part either. So he has to go with that same thing, just like when JD Vance went after the same idea of these young racists that they caught with all of their text messages of the young Republicans. They're always young and impressionable whenever they're going to get some kind of accountability for things. But all it was reminding these folks, don't follow illegal orders from the guy who's giving you illegal orders. We've seen it over and over again, invading American cities, treating some American cities like training grounds for your war that you keep wanting to start. Things like that. Maybe bombing people and unknown folks off of in Caribbean waters and calling them narco terrorists, you know, all that type of illegal orders, because they've been giving them and they've been carried out. People are dead because of these illegal orders. Those things are what we call war crimes, and he hasn't even declared war, which he has no authority to do. So Mike Johnson ran his ass off again to talk about illegal orders. I'm sorry, they're calling them all legal orders. So as usual, it also spreads to Fox News, and check out their spin on this. Harris Faulkner covered it as well.
All right. Well, critics are going after 6 Democrat lawmakers in particular over this plea to members of the military and intelligence communities. Watch this.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law or our Constitution.
We know this is hard.
Okay, you caught that, right? Refusing
Yes.
military orders. That would be treason. Reaction, as you might imagine, swift and fierce. Libs of TikTok posted, Democrats are encouraging members of the military to commit treason and defy orders from Trump. And Republican Senator Eric Schmidt says, sounds a little subversive to democracy-ish.
I think he missed. I don't think that's anything with democracy. This is about military code and honor and following and not following orders. I don't know if that's to do with democracy, which anybody who supports this fascist in the White House can't mention the word democracy and act like they're in any kind of way favor of it, because he's dismantled that as many kind of ways as possible so far. So please shut the fuck up about democracy. So again, she even ran part of the ad. And even with the huge white text over each of these people's faces saying, don't follow those illegal orders, illegal orders, illegal orders, refuse illegal orders. It was really big and bold. It was like huge, bro. And right after that, she came out of that piece and said, did you catch that? Refusing military orders. No, actually, I didn't catch that, Harris. That's not what was said. But you can just spin it. Literally, usually, if you know what Fox News used to do? Fox News used to cover up the things that they were lying about. Like they would maybe they would rephrase what someone said or cut off the video of what that someone said, say that they said something else, and then say something like they're saying refusing military orders. She played it and we heard it, saw the words in case, you know, in case you're hard of hearing, you can see it. And then she came out and said, did you catch that? We caught it. You're a liar. That's what we caught. But this is the way that Caroline Leavitt, again, back to her really fast, decide to make that differentiation, because of course someone in the room asked her, yo, we're talking about illegal orders. This is where the fascism really kicks into higher gear.
They are literally saying to 1.3 million active duty service members not to defy the chain of command, not to follow lawful orders.
Actually,
Every single
refuse an illegal order, which
but
is
they're suggesting, Nancy, that the president has given illegal orders, which he has not. Every single order that is given to this United States military by this commander-in-chief and through this chain of command, through the Secretary of War, is lawful. And the courts have proven that. This administration has an unparalleled record at the Supreme Court because we are following the laws. We don't defy court orders. We do things by the books. And to suggest and encourage that active duty service members defy the chain of command is a very dangerous thing for sitting members of Congress to do. And they should be held accountable. And that's what the president wants to see. They are.
So when she finally gets the clarification that she already knew, that they're talking about unlawful, illegal orders, her response was every single order given by this president is a lawful order. That's based in what, bro? That's based in the fascist liar in the White House. I'm sorry, felon in the White House saying everything I say is lawful. That has nothing to do with the law. She even went to talking about their record in courts. Their record in the courts sucks. Matter of fact, when she said we don't defy court orders, all they do is defy court orders. Stephen Miller's dumbass walks outside and tells people if the courts actually, if they behave correctly, then they're doing the right thing. If not, we're going to have to circumvent those courts. They've said so many times how they're avoiding what the court tells them to do. I can't believe that she had written down on some kind of piece of paper that she's supposed to say this administration doesn't defy court orders. That's all they do is defy court orders. They lose all the time. So the next step is to attack the courts and say that they're rabid Democrats and they're coming for Donald Trump. That's their only excuse. That's not a legal argument, bro. They get embarrassed every time they step in front of a court. What are we talking about? Again, upside down world. And if you're not listening to it and been driven crazy like I am from listening to these assholes so much, you might be like, yeah, you know, they have a great record in court. Donald Trump always says so. Caroline Leavitt said it as well, too. So let me show you where this gets serious. As we've seen, Donald Trump openly and aggressively advocated for these guys to be executed. This also plays on Fox News, where Harris Faulkner told her audience, did you catch that? They're refusing military orders. This ad plays on that same channel.
In honor of Donald Trump's amazing comeback election victory to become our 47th president, Bond Arms is introducing an impressive new handgun, the living legend DT-47. Find out how you can save $100 on the new DT-47 from Bond Arms. Take advantage of the Bond Arms 30th Anniversary Summer Special. Buy any Bond Arms handgun and get up to a $50 gift card. Go to getbondarms.com. That's getbondarms.com. In honor of Donald Trump's
Trump guns. I don't know if it works. Who knows? There's small print at the bottom. Who knows? But I am seeing some of the small print at the bottom. It says firearm availability is subject to change, like most things that Donald Trump sells, based on local regulations. All products must be ordered through a local dealer or online retailer, not available to persons under 21. So I was hoping to see if they would tell if it's like a fake gun or something. So you've got folks that you're riling up and tell them that they're in this political war and the rhetoric from the left is killing all of your favorite righties and MAGA folks. And then you got the president saying, hey, let's go kill a couple of them. And then you got Fox News posting about how they can buy themselves a gun with his dumbass face on the side of it with smooch lips when you can shoot someone with. It's almost like it's all coordinated to start, you know, some extra violence that they haven't already started. So I'm happy that first the media is seeing this, and also because the degree to which they're seeing it, it's causing these folks to spiral even more, and more importantly, more folks to hear about what it is that these guys are doing, how dangerous they are, and how much they absolutely lie all the time. I also like going to Chris Murphy because he takes off gloves. Watch him talk about this now.
The President of the United States just called for Democratic members of Congress to be executed. This is not normal. We cannot allow this to feel normal. This, as far as I know, has never happened before in the history of the country. Every Democratic member of the Senate and the House, their life is in jeopardy right now, especially those that were specifically targeted by this social media post. Democratic senators and House members who were simply saying that no member of the military should act illegally or in violation of the Constitution. The President of the United States just called for members of Congress to be executed. If you are a person of influence in this country, maybe it's time to pick a fucking side. If you are a Republican in Congress, if you are a Republican governor, maybe it's time to draw a line in the sand and say that under no circumstances should the President of the United States be calling on his political opposition to be hanged. We are at a very dangerous moment right now. The President is engaged in the wholesale incitement, endorsement, and rationalization of political violence in this country. This is a very slippery slope that we are on. This is a moment for people to step up, for Republicans to step up, for business leaders to step up. Anybody who has a voice or a soapbox in this country needs to draw a line in the sand and say that it is not acceptable for the President of the United States to call on the murder of his political opposition.
You would think we wouldn't have to say things like that. And then as they do exactly what it is that Chris Murphy is saying they're doing, They call themselves victims. They say we're under attack. Can you believe the ICE agents? This is an example. ICE agents in the streets who are attacking people and putting guns in people's faces immediately and snatching and throwing them on the ground. Can you believe that they're being threatened? Their lives are at risk. So similar there, Chris Murphy taking more gloves off and saying people need to pick a side. You know what? They may not like that kind of language, but the problem with this whole thing is that when your language starts with you attacking folks based off of your hatred for certain groups of people and falling behind a criminal in the White House, you've already divided the country. Like if you don't go ahead and pick a side against fascism, you're just supporting fascism. One of the most hated figures, Joy Reid, she pointed out something that I don't think anyone else is really showing. This is the connection from Donald Trump to the hate that he's spewing to his rabid people and the things that they both of them all collectively agree with.
Y'all see this, right? You see it? A guy with this symbol, which is used frequently by white nationalists who like to reference the Crusades, he tweeted that Democrats should be hung. Hang them. George Washington would, exclamation point, exclamation point. And look who retweeted him on his A Truth Social. You see it, right? You see it? Because I see it. I just want to make sure that you see it. You see what he tweeted? I just want to make sure that you see it. Now, when his same supporters who are of the same ilk chanted, hang Mike Pence, he said, maybe they're just more passionate about this election than y'all. He didn't have a problem with these types of people wanting to lynch his vice president. And now he has extended that to all Democratic lawmakers. You see it, right? I just want to make sure that you see it.
The reason she reiterated so many times to make sure that you see it is because we forget so many times how rabidly bigoted and white supremacist this whole administration is. As other folks have pointed out, that's the same tattoo on Pete Hegseth's chest. I didn't remember. I remember when that all came out and I didn't see it, so I guess I'm taking folks' word for it because I missed that. But we've seen that symbol. And Donald Trump reposted that guy. And also, Joy Reid decided to point out how every time someone criticized the people who were violent on January 6th, Donald Trump said they were peaceful. As a matter of fact, maybe their declarations to kill my vice president means that they were just more passionate. Sounds like a positive spin on murder. And also sounds like an endorsement for more of that. That is, while he's talking all this about how everyone else is so much more violent than he and his supporters. So this morning, this is what I saw that maybe a couple of seconds late. Trump had to finally respond. I kept looking for it. I said he's going to either double down or say he never said it, or that, you know, everyone's got Trump derangement syndrome. One of those things has to be what it is. So he went with the first. He's not threatening Democratic lawmakers. He says that they broke the law. Here's a quote from him. He was on Fox News Radio. I'm not threatening them, but I would say that they're in serious trouble. I'm not threatening death. Hey, bro. What does that mean they're in serious trouble? With who? With you? Who made you the king of this country? Who made you someone's dad that you're standing over them and saying they're in serious trouble? I tell you what, this is Donald Trump trying to get out of the latest hole that he's dug for himself and say, well, I can't fully step back and say, my bad. I didn't mean to do that. I was just raging while I was on some kind of uppers or some pills that, you know, that Trump Jr. handed me. And I went into a rage because I'm petulant and I can't control my emotions. He can't say all that. So instead he says, I'm not doing anything of what I said that you should do to these lawmakers. What I'm saying is that they're just in serious trouble. He can't pull back fully because he thinks that looks weak. The problem with the weakness is he doesn't understand he already looks weak. He's the weakest son of a bitch that's ever held this position. I mean, we don't know about way back in the day when we weren't around to hear all the madness that people had to say when they're in the office. But in modern history, weakest, thin-skinned, sorry-ass son of a bitch that's ever sat in the White House. He proves it every day. So we'll see what happens next. Hopefully there's no violence. And hopefully the people that continue to defend these folks and act like they're not full of violent people as they keep fomenting more violence, maybe they'll stop carrying water for these folks. Maybe they'll finally acknowledge the fascist in the White House is now declaring war on his political enemies. I think that's check mark number 12 of all the things that we said Donald Trump was just trolling and joking about when he was campaigning, and how he would then not implement any of that when he gets into office. Except dude's doing it by November. Speaking of violence, first off, wait a second before we go to this next story. I never get a chance to do this because sometimes I don't see y'all's comments. Sometimes you guys, folks, you guys drop in on the chat here over on YouTube. Sometimes you guys drop in the super chats. I really appreciate it. This one was dropped in just now. And I want to, I want to thank you guys for it. So, Moki Ninja says Trump and KK Caroline are attacking Dems based off what they wanted them to say versus what they actually said. Trump wants to distract in any way possible. The distractions could be from many things. We know the main distraction is about, those files, which ironically I'm not talking about today. The Epstein files that continue to rattle his brain and make him very uncomfortable because the walls are closing in. Any distractions? I think potentially, though, the other distraction they could be from, and not really a distraction because everyone's paying attention to it, but to make sure that people continue not to pay attention to, is they're ramping up for aggressive military action over near Venezuela. Here's Scott Bessent.
I am very confident about job growth and the momentum that we've got for next year. And I think what it is going to take is for people to see, the president has done, I keep saying peace deals, trade deals, and tax deals. So we did the one big beautiful bill in July, and we are seeing a CapEx boom thanks to that. Historically, capital expenditure is always followed by job growth. The peace deals, we are seeing a peace dividend from that. And I think there's a very, very good chance that if something happens with Russia, Ukraine, if something happens down in Venezuela, that we could really see oil prices go down even more. And oil and gasoline prices are down substantially under President Trump. And that is really the key to affordability, is lower energy. So energy goes into food prices. And then, or the third part.
Scott Bessent is very nervous lately. He's always kind of been stuttering over his lies, but now he's included this weird hand motion that every time he says something, he's trying to work his brain through how to exactly point out how they're destroying the economy. Except on accident, Scott Bessent accidentally said, once we invade Venezuela and start taking oil, that's going to help with gas prices and food prices and energy all around. Because all we know how to do is invade countries and steal resources because we suck at everything. What a revelation from Scott Bessent. I'm not sure if he even realized he said that. If something happens down in Venezuela, we could see oil prices go down even more. Well, the first lie is that they're going down. But also, if oil prices go down, that doesn't mean it's being transferred over to consumers at gas stations. It rarely happens. Let's keep that real too. But I think he revealed what is that Donald Trump, again, on the campaign trail, revealed some time ago, and what they feel about what Venezuela has to offer to them. That is, for them to steal from Venezuela.
How about we're buying oil from Venezuela? When I left, Venezuela was ready to collapse. We would have taken it over. We would have gotten all that oil. It would have been right next door.
He's disappointed that we're purchasing oil when we could just invade and take it. They were sitting there ripe for the picking for us to be, these colonizing invaders and take more things. Because it's a criminal in the White House. All he knows how to do is steal, lie, cheat, and steal, and not even Eddie Guerrero's style of it. You guys may know. But at least there's more pushback, as I said. people understanding what's happening pretty much all over the board with this administration. And now that we're seeing what's happening, people are responding the right way. It's just a matter of if the actions are going to take place next. Here's Venezuela's ambassador to the UN talking about these ramping up of aggressions and potential invasions and fighting militarily in his country.
Everybody knows what's going on here. There is a killer prowling the Caribbean, bloodthirsty, looking for wars, and there is no justification at all. They are fabricating a war, and everybody should stop pretending that this is a complicated matter and face the truth. The emperor is naked. Nobody dares to say it, but the emperor is naked. In Latin America and the Caribbean, as in other regions of the world, the CIA is well known for its covert operations aimed at pushing processes of destabilization, sabotage, counterinsurgency, plannings of coup d'etat, and assassinations of heads of state and government, with the purpose of installing political systems subservient to the interests of the US government, puppet governments. Everybody knows what's going on here.
The exposure keeps happening. Everyone knows. He pointed it out there. They're looking to continue to raid people's countries. Do you guys remember this? Because as this is happening, I feel like this is something else that's very easily forgotten. I was talking about the Russia-Ukraine stuff a lot beginning of this guy's administration, since he said he was going to have that solved in 24 hours or 48. Who knows? Remember the deal that he said he was going to have, that he was working on between Russia, Ukraine, and he was upset with Ukraine because they wanted to work out this rare earths deal. Everything they do is based in trying to get some kind of resources from other countries. So after Ukraine gets invaded by Russia, and Donald Trump says that Vladimir Putin didn't invade Ukraine, he's like, I can fix this. And also, maybe I can get some rare earths and other kind of resources from the country that got invaded for some kind of switch and handoff to helping them out. So in doing that, and then when that fell apart because Vladimir Putin gave Donald Trump a couple middle fingers and told him, don't forget what I have on your ass, Donnie, so please get out of my face. After that whole thing fell apart and Donald Trump decided to act like he was never involved in any kind of negotiations between Vladimir Putin and Ukraine, after all that, we haven't heard anything about it. He didn't get his rare earths. I'm not sure if they did or not, but they were working on something. Everything is based in them trying to cover up their bad policies, in this case economically, with ways that they think they can make things better by taking from someone else. That's just one theory. Very smart person here, Asha Rangappa. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of her. She's a former FBI special agent, and I've seen her speak on things, and she's always on point. She talked about potentially some of the other dual, motivations behind this idea to invade Venezuela, the way they're blatantly setting up to do.
And I think where they're trying to go is to make this into a military conflict, not just with these organizations, but they need to tie it to Venezuela. I think what's going on, Paul, is that they want there to be a military conflict so that they can justify using the Alien Enemies Act internally and start being able to round up Venezuelan nationals for the means of deportation. I think these things are connected, right? Like, I think this is a Stephen Miller special, which is about using the latitude that the president has in foreign policy to essentially manufacture a military conflict that then can be used to justify certain internal domestic authorities that allow the president, in a conflict or in a state of war, whatever, to be able to remove people. That's my hypothesis.
Hey, can we stop?
And I think where they're
sounds like a pretty good hypothesis. So again, she was talking with Paul Rykoff there. I believe he was with Vote Vets. I don't want to misquote he's a veteran as well too, that he works with for years. This potentially this dual purpose for invading Venezuela, starting a war, illegally without the consent of Congress, starting a war so that they can say any Venezuelan that we see on American soil is definitely like an enemy combatant because they have some loyalties to their home country, and therefore we have to get rid of them from our soil. It's just another aspect for ramping up, as she mentioned, Stephen Miller's bloodthirsty, hell-bent objectives of trying to deport as many people as possible, brown people as possible, because he's a rabid racist. That Stephen Miller guy is. I think it's a workable hypothesis. The bad part about this whole ramp up to this war and everything is there's many smart people that know what's going on and continue to expose it. Listen closely to this, because I had to listen to it a couple times to try and figure out exactly what it is that Max Blumenthal, who was on Piers Morgan's show, was talking about with this panel. On that panel was one former ambassador of the United States. His name is James Story. Max Blumenthal, journalist, talked about what it is that we've been doing with Venezuela and other countries like that for a very long time, and how that also connects to this, new war approach that we've got. Check it out.
And just to quickly respond to 2 points the other panelists made, Mike Baker accused me of wearing a tinfoil hat. The truth about the Cartel of the Suns being created.
I said I forgot
CIA.
mine.
Okay, fine. I just want to point this out for viewers. The truth about the CIA founding the Cartel of the Suns to ship cocaine in the United States was exposed to a national U.S. televised audience by Mike Wallace on 60 Minutes in 1993, back when 60 Minutes reported on the CIA and not on behalf of the CIA. And just quickly to respond to Virtual Ambassador Story, who accused me of ad hominem attacks. You are a government official. You are a veteran coup plotter, and it is legitimate for a journalist to scrutinize the activities of a coup plotting government official who in February 2021 hosted a insurrectionist summit at the Marriott Hotel in Bogota. You, with Leopoldo Lopez, the US-backed coup leader who staged multiple failed military coups and led violent riots that saw Afro-Venezuelan citizens burned in the streets. Check out Orlando Figuera. And Carlos Vecchio, the fake ambassador to Venezuela, who is actually the lawyer for ExxonMobil, which seeks to regain its control of Venezuelan fields.
Oh my God, what? The whole time I'm listening, I'm like, oh my God. Like, oh my God. I don't know any of this. Look this shit up. I'm still trying to find all of it. Half of it sounded like, another language, but he was talking about the years long, probably decades long movements and thoughts that these guys have had in invading and having some excuse for what it is that they're doing down in Venezuela. Man, did you see the smile wipe off of my man's face? The guy with the beard that he was talking to, the former ambassador. What was the name again? Story, James Story. It was like the whole time he's like, that old trick that people used to do that wasn't a trick, it only like worked for like 4-year-olds. You smile and it swiped off his face. It's like, dumbass. By the way, I can't independently confirm all the things that Max Blumenthal was talking about, but I'm gonna play the back end of him getting in this guy's ass about all of these potentially nefarious setups and opportunities they've had to try and invade. Here's more from Max Blumenthal kicking this guy's ass.
This is one of the most deeply anti-democratic opposition movements led by Maria Corina Machado, who has led several coup attempts in Venezuela. I mean, it's basically like January 6th again and again with the sponsorship of the U.S. Embassy. Violent riots that have killed hundreds. I personally watched Maria Corina Machado attempt to take over La Carlota Air Base in Caracas while the U.S. was trying to ram aid trucks into Venezuela, which the Venezuelan opposition subsequently burned and blamed on Maduro. This is a corrupt opposition that stole millions of dollars from Citgo after the U.S. stole it from Venezuela. This is a corrupt opposition that has paid millions to U.S. mercenaries like Jordan Goudreau, who I interviewed, who has personally described to me what the real agenda here is, which was for Trump Incorporated cronies to get their hands on contracts and to plunder Venezuela's rich mineral wealth and oil. Ambassador Story revealed the agenda himself when he appeared on a straightforward propaganda piece for regime change on 60 Minutes and said, Nicolas Maduro is a bad actor sitting on the world's largest oil reserves. Well, that's why you consider him a bad actor, because there's plenty of bad actors in the world, and neither of you will condemn ICC wanted war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu or call for his arrest, will you? Neither of you will talk about Ecuadorian President Daniel Noboa's role in the international drug trade through Benita and his family shipping company. I mean, the list goes on and on. I could spend the next 45 minutes talking about US sponsored bad actors, but there are bad actors. The reason Maduro's a bad actor is because he's sitting on oil reserves.
Damn. Bro, it's not like he checked notes. I'm trying to figure out, because Max Blumenthal must have like an encyclopedia in his head. That's crazy. Maybe there was a teleprompter. It didn't seem like it, the way that he was running through all of those things that he was breaking down, that these guys, from my own perspective, I'm gonna have to say potentially were involved in, and what it is that they're up to. But it all makes a lot of sense, especially since we're positioning warships and sending all these bombers down to Venezuela for the sake of what they're calling nothing. Oh, we just want to protect the Southern Hemisphere. We want to make sure we patrol the Southern Hemisphere. There's the fact that they're doing all this to this degree means a lot more than that. And it leads to people maybe having to listen to what is that Max Blumenthal has been saying. He talked about people that he has directly interviewed, people with bribes and corruption, decades of this shit. It's how this country's always been. It's why anytime someone brings that up, they get called anti-American for pointing out that they want this country to not be corrupt the way it has been since forever. The people that lead it, that means we're the victims of it. All us folks who have to live under corrupt people. So like I said, this is what's happening is they're sending things down to Venezuela with all these objectives.
According to a source, there are 4 B-52 bombers that are en route to Venezuela. There's also a report out there on social media that says that these 4 U.S. Air Force B-52H Stratoforus bombers are heading towards the Gulf of Mexico, with flight trackers showing that 2 bomber barons from Minot AFB or Air Force Base in North Dakota leading the pack. But here is the deal. This is what it costs to fly a B-52 bomber. $71,000 an hour. That's roughly $300,000 per hour for 4 of them. 6.37 hours of flight time from Fargo to Venezuela. 2-hour training or mission bombing, and then 6.37 hours back. So 14.74 total hours. That's the estimated hours here. Times 4 planes at $71,000 equals $4.186 million. According to the source, we don't usually drop money like that on a training mission.
Don Lemon's right. I don't know if this issue sometimes folks have with Don Lemon, but the cost of sending bombers down there and repositioning ships and all that stuff for what is that Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump are saying is just like nothing. We just want to make sure we're going to check out those drug boats with 4 people on them. I'm sorry, fishermen. They're doing all this and spending that many millions of dollars for the sake of nothing. They don't do all this for nothing. There's just no such thing. So maybe we should start listening to people that are telling us the truth, and then, stop listening to people who are openly lying to us. I got 5 minutes before the top of the hour. Love you guys. I got another story. So maybe you guys hang on for the last 5 minutes. Maybe you might jump over to TDR. If you are, I appreciate you. Love you. I hope you guys have a good weekend. But I want to get started with this last thing. You won't go over too far. I think you guys can hang out. I'm not telling you to leave. As a matter of fact, John can wait. John's a good guy. Okay. Let's move on to this. I want to start with what we're seeing in the country. A lot of times when it comes to the economy and the way things are being destroyed as we come into holiday season, we don't always talk to consumers. We always hear about the situation consumers are in, maybe even folks that voted for Donald Trump. And maybe we need to find out more about how they feel lately, since, he says we're in the golden era.
We changed presidents at the beginning of the year.
We did.
And the guy who moved into the White House said that he was going to fix it. Several times he said it would be easy.
Absolutely.
Has he fixed it?
Absolutely not. I'm definitely waiting for him to fix it.
Jones is a 3-time Trump voter, but she says
He has simply failed to keep his promise to lower the cost of living.
I'm very let down by that. Very, very let down because I feel like it's only gotten worse.
We changed president.
It's only gotten worse. No, people understand that. People are seeing that. I mean, there's not gonna be another opportunity to vote for him, but the next question is always, so would you vote for him again? But they can always dodge out of that and say, well, he's not really up for it, except for the fact that he says he wants to be what? As John and I say a lot, I don't think he's gonna be around for that next election. But still, they need to sell it to people like that Trump voter who's very disappointed in his policies and how they've continued to destroy her life. So Larry Kudlow had this dumbass Howard Lutnick on. Check out how they think. Oh, I almost had it. Check out how they think people should react, or maybe what is it they should do to convince folks like that woman that things are going great. It's gonna be back in a second. There it is.
You got to go out and sell it better, Howard Lutnick. I guess fight for it. Let's follow the president's lead. You and Scott and Kevin and so forth. Maybe you just have to go out and sell the story better, Secretary Howard Lutnick.
Well, I'll give you an example. I had 2 weeks ago, I had Sean Fain. So he runs the United Auto Workers.
Right.
Okay.
I know.
And he called me and he said, I can't believe I'm calling a Republican Secretary of Commerce to tell him you have the best administration and you are fighting for the American auto workers. God bless you.
Yeah.
I mean, who gets that phone call but Donald Trump's administration, right? We're out fighting for union workers. We're out fighting for the American people. It's their jobs that we care about. And Donald Trump has got American workers' backs. And we are going to deliver those numbers. We're going to deliver jobs, and we're going to deliver a great economy to the American worker.
All right, you got
Why would anyone listen to these guys? So you've got Larry Kudlow, formerly working in Donald Trump's first administration. You gotta go out there and sell, Howard, go out there and sell. It's like the guys from Trading Places. Get back in there and sell. Tell them to sell. Bro, and isn't this conversation supposed to be had behind closed doors? Howard, you're supposed to sell the lies better. You're not repeating the propaganda enough yet, Howard. What's the matter with you? Sell it to the people more. Sell it. Don't actually do anything. Don't actually have any policies that work out. What you're supposed to do is sell that bullshit that you guys have been trying to sell for so long. You're not selling it hard enough. Donald Trump is selling it well. The problem with Donald Trump's sales job on this bullshit economy is that nobody's buying that either. But Sean Fain called him. Who else does that? Who else is called by Sean Fain? What if administration gets called by Sean Fain? He's been hanging around Donald Trump too long because he's coming up with these random lies. I'm surprised he didn't say, Sean Fain called me and said, sir. He said, sir. Here's these two dummies again.
Howard Lutnick, let me ask you something. Are you changing at the margins of trade policy? Because a lot of people were very, very happy. You pulled the tariffs on coffee and meats and fruits and bananas and whatnot. Those struck some people, and I was skeptical myself, a little bit punitive tariffs, not really reciprocal tariffs. So now you pull them, prices are going to come down. Is this a significant change in trade policy?
No, if you understand where Donald Trump comes from. So when we started this process on April 2nd, he wanted, as you know, trade deals. Let's just go make trade deals. If a country makes a trade deal, we'll give them coffee, we'll give them cocoa, we'll give them bananas, we'll give them papayas, we'll give them generic drugs, we'll give them all these different things if they do a trade deal with us to make sure our exporters, if you produce in America, you can export your goods. Finally, the president has got your back and let you manufacture in America and sell it. All right. And what happened is the president said, look, it's been 6 months. It's time. Let's just wipe the slate clean. If people haven't made deals with these smaller countries, it's okay. Let's cut the price on all these unavailable natural resources and let's focus on affordability. So what you're going to watch is the president's going to focus on the small things that touch the American's pocketbook, and he's going to bring them all down. He's going to use the power of what he has created to bring these prices down so that by Christmas, the prices in America are lower and lower. And the people in America are going to feel that purchasing power coming back. They're going to feel the power. They're going to get a check next year, as the president discussed. The tax refunds are coming, and Americans are going to feel stronger and better about the leadership of Donald Trump in this economy. It's coming. He's focused on it, and he's going to deliver.
So what?
Sorry, Howard, you're just not selling it well enough. That's nonsense. Congratulations to Donald Trump for screwing up the economy, screwing up the prices of things like things we can't grow here, like, some of these tropical fruits. And you know what he's going to do for the American people? He's going to do those small things, those insignificant, nothing, nobody things for you fucking losers. That's what Howard Lutnick's sales job is that Larry Kudlow told him he's got to ramp up more of. Congratulations to Donald Trump for screwing things up. And then now he's your savior from the things he screwed up. He said he's going to use his power that he created through these tariffs to fix the shit that he started through those tariffs. What are you talking about, bro? Do they think people aren't listening to them? Do they think people only hear when he says, we got to congratulate Donald Trump? Can you believe Donald Trump would do such a thing? Can you believe he would do stuff for you peons? The people that he said were conning him talking about this economy. Those same folks that he said, everything is great for you. And our tariffs have done everything wonderful. Nobody knows more about tariffs than me, that guy said. That is until they pulled back on those tariffs, because everyone knows more about tariffs than him. This is only the last time I'm going to play Howard. Not Howard. This one being Larry Kudlow. Because this guy, this is what they really feel. This was an accident, a little slip outside of the sales job that he wanted Lutnick to talk about.
There are issues on some of these prices, although I think affordability is greatly overrated. There are
multimillionaire Larry Kudlow thinks that the affordability debate is heavily, way overrated. It's overrated because, he's got money. So why don't you? He kisses Donald Trump's ass and makes his money off of nefarious ways and making sure that he benefits while other people suffer. Why can't you? The affordability thing is just way overrated for Larry Kudlow, who's on TV telling you that you're in the middle of a golden era while he cashes in more Fox News checks and wherever else he gets his money from. Maybe he should talk to Kevin Hassett about selling better than this, because he sucks at it too.
One area that we can look at is manufacturing jobs. And you just made an argument for why we may not have seen strength there so far since President Trump took office, but that when do you expect those jobs to actually kick in? If they're building those factories and facilities now, when does that really kick in, Kevin?
Right. Well, it's first, the factory jobs are picking up. The thing is that factory output is skyrocketing because productivity is skyrocketing.
One area that we can look at is.
I feel like maybe I missed the question. Just when does that kick in? When does this new golden era and great manufacturing and jobs, all this kick in? All he said is that it's skyrocketing, all this production. Where? If it's all happening, why do we have to wait for it to kick in? When is it going to kick in? How is it happening right now, but it still has to kick in? How is it Howard Lutnick is still talking about how he's going to give out these checks at the beginning of next year, and also by Christmas time your prices are going to be down because Donald Trump is taking away some tariffs off of bananas and oranges? What does that have to do with anything? And by the way, it's the middle of the damn near back end of November. So you're telling me in a month's time, Donald Trump is going to pull back these tariffs. Prices are going to drop immediately and magically on all these things that have been in place for these many months. And it's just going to change and snap of a fingers right back. They don't care that we can see through their lies. They don't care that there's people that know all this stuff that they're talking about, and they claim that they know better anyway. The only answer that Kevin Hassett has been dispatched to tell is that, just it'll be fine. It'll be great. It's skyrocketing. Here's what the Vice President of the United States thinks that regular Americans who voted for these dum-dums should do.
And even though we've made incredible progress, we understand that there's a lot more work to do. And the thing that I'd ask for the American people is a little bit of patience. This economy, and even
J.D. Vance is asking the American people to have a little bit of patience. That is, after damn near an entire year of them screwing things up, flipping middle fingers in the face of those same American people, telling them their experience is not what it is, calling them con artists, saying that they don't know anything about the economy or tariffs more than they do, telling small business owners who are literally suffering and see the change in numbers, telling farmers and ranchers and everybody that it's their fault and they're frustrated with them as they screw up their lives. What J.D. Vance wants to tell all those people is that you need a little bit of patience. Did Donald Trump say that on the campaign trail? Did Donald Trump stand in front of a microphone and say, on day one, I'm going to ask you guys for 12 months of patience? Did he say that? Or did he say he's going to fix things immediately because he's got relationships, because he's a smart businessman, because he's Donald J. Trump, because he wrote at the heart of the deal, but which he didn't? Did he say all that? Or did he say, we need some patience? People should have started booing J.D. Vance's ass when he said, all I ask is for the American people to have a little bit of patience while they rob you. Let's go back to Scott Bessent.
The Fed is sending signals to the market that they may not be lowering interest rates, which seemed to be what took the market in part down at the latter part of the day.
Laura, I think there are a lot of signals coming from the Fed, and some of them are very confusing. You know, they said that they don't have data, and traditionally, if you don't have data, if you're flying blind, they've cut twice, and they said that they're insurance cuts. So I would have thought that they would want to take out a third cut, more insurance, and also we know that under the Schumer shutdown, that the economy got worse. So, I would believe that the Fed should be looking at the data and thinking things could. We don't know where things are. We've been cutting, and we should finish the cutting cycle or keep going with the cutting cycle, because again, the fourth quarter GDP will have taken a definite hit from the shutdown.
Oh my God, Scott Bessent, spit it out. Spit it out, bro. Whatever you're gonna say is a lie anyway. You might as well hurry up and say it. He can't get it out. Man, when is somebody gonna tell this guy to stop going on TV? Like, he gets choked up every time he tells a lie, which is the entire time that he speaks. We're gonna, it's the same sound I was talking about earlier that I can't stand. This guy, Scott Bessent. He needs to just sit down and go home. Everyone knows that you're lying, especially since, there's this reality. Here's the reality check as he talks about how things need to be. The Fed, this guy went after the Fed. We need to have a cycle of cutting in the middle of a golden era. How does that make sense, Scotty? How does it make sense? Why should the Fed keep cutting when things are wonderful, as Donald Trump said they are, when things are skyrocketing, as Kevin Hassett said, as Howard Lutnick said, everything is going to be wonderful in a month. Except a month or two ago, Howard Lutnick said things are going to be wonderful by next year, middle of next year, 6 to 8 months. It doesn't matter, it changes.
Bad news, though, is look at this. The unemployment rate going to 4.4% unexpectedly. It was supposed to stay at 4.3. It did not. As you noted, this is a new 4-year high. Now, when we look at the pace of job growth over the past year or so, you can see that September was a big rebound. The other thing that this chart shows is that August was revised negative. It was positive 22,000, and now it is slightly negative. And the other thing that really stands out here is now we have 2 of the last 4 months, right? June and August, where the U.S. economy actually lost jobs. 2 out of the last 4 months that we have data on. That's after a stretch of almost 4 years of uninterrupted job growth. So this clearly speaks to the softness in the job market. The other thing I want to look at here is wages against prices, because we know there's this affordability crisis. where a lot of people feel like they just can't keep up with the high prices. In this chart, the red line shows the rate of inflation. And when you go back to 2023, the red line was above the blue line, which is wages. And so that's why people felt like they could not catch up. Now, the good news is that in the latest month, wages were up by 3.7%. That is ahead of the inflation rate, which was 3%. But I also think that what stands out here, John, is that the gap here is narrowing, right? And so prices are still high. They're still going up at a fast pace, but wages are not going up by nearly as much. So that's part of the reason why people are so frustrated with this economy.
There's always extra measurements and changes to these things. But that's what people directly are feeling. As again, more jobs get lost, as even for October, we don't have a jobs report. And I feel like eventually it's going to go to just let's not have one at all. Or whatever manipulated numbers that Donald Trump and them can come up with, which we shouldn't trust because they're liars. Again, back to the theme. They're liars. Shouldn't believe anything they said. So it results in this. We're almost done, you guys. This is fascinating. A Fox News poll showed that Trump's approval rating is the lowest it's been since October of 2017, his first year in office. Also, the poll revealed that just 38% approve of the way that he's handling the economy, his lowest rating in that category in either of his terms. Also, that figure matches the record low on the issue from April. It's weird. Even folks that watch Fox News have this thing called, like bank accounts and jobs and wages and, go to the grocery store and stuff. And they notice this, and it's resulting in more information like this. This survey polled just over 1,000 registered voters and was taken between November 14th and the 17th. And it shows that a majority of Americans disapprove of the president's handling of a variety of issues. Here's some of them. 41% approve of Trump's performance as president overall. It's a 5-point drop since the last Fox News poll was taken in September. This is rapid. Just from the last one, this guy's dropping off this much. He's also underwater on 5 out of the 6 issues that the poll asked voters about. The only one that he's above ground on is 53% for the border security issue. And 53% of respondents also say that they disapprove of his handling of immigration in general. Sounds like a lot of regret. I know it's a Fox News poll, so under other normal poll circumstances, it's probably much, much worse. But that's the president. That's the Donald Trump's administration. Those are his people that are sent out to sell. And thank you guys. I think you guys told me it was the Dukes, Ralph and Mortimer. I think it was the Dukes from Trading Places that told him to get back in there and sell. Anyways, maybe I'll watch that movie over the weekend. That's a classic. Anyways, thank you guys. For those of you that hung around, I appreciate you. Head over to TDR. Tell those guys that we had a great party. All orange juice was drunk out of, Grinch cups. But we've got a whole weekend ahead of us. I hope you guys can enjoy it. Those of you that get the opportunity to, we'll catch you guys on Monday, the best damn day of the week. But try to relax a little bit. We got Thanksgiving holiday weekend coming up. I hope it's not too stressful for too many of you guys. We'll catch you guys later. See you later, Ma.